Welcome back. So we're going to go ahead and get started in Book 8, the Nazarene Acts of the Apostles. So we're starting in Chapter 1. Now the next morning Peter took my brothers and me with him, and we went down to the harbor to bathe in the sea, and thereafter we retired to a certain secret place for prayer. But a certain poor man, a workman, as he appeared by his dress, began to observe us eagerly without our seeing him, that he might see what we were doing in secret. And when he saw us praying, he waited until we came out, and then saluted us and said, "If you do not take it amiss, and regard me as an inquisitive and importunate person, I should wish to converse with you, for I take pity on you, and would not have you err under the appearance of truth, and be afraid of things that have no existence, or if you think that there is any truth in them, then declare it to me. If therefore you take it patiently, I can in a few words instruct you in what is right, but if it be unpleasant to you, I shall go on and do my business." To him Peter answered, "Speak what you think is good, and we will gladly hear, whether it be true or false, for you are to be welcome, because like a father anxious on behalf of his children, you wish to put us in possession of what you regard as good." Then the old man proceeded to say, "I saw you bathe in the sea, and afterwards retire into a secret place. Wherefore, observing, without you noticing me, what you were doing, I saw you praying. Therefore, pitying your error, I waited till you came out, that I might speak to you, and instruct you not to err in an observance of this sort, because there is neither any God nor any worship, neither is there any providence in the world, but all things are done by fortuitous chance and genesis, as I have discovered most clearly for myself, being accomplished beyond others in the discipline of learning. Do not err, therefore, for whether you pray or whether you do not pray, whatever your genesis contains, that shall befall you." So this genesis is it sounds like, as he goes on to describe it, he's talking about your horoscope, like when you're born. So the day you're born, the way the stars were aligned at your birth is going to influence you for the rest of your life, and that sort of thing. So he's, that's what he's talking about when he says your genesis, your beginning. "Then I, Clement, was affected, I know not how, in my heart, recollecting many things in him that seemed familiar to me. For someone says well that which is sprung from anyone, although it may be long absent, yet a spark of relationship is never extinguished. Therefore I began to ask of him who and whence he was, and how descended. But he, not wishing to answer these questions, said, what has that to do with me? What has that to do with what I have told you? But first, if you please, let us converse of those matters which we have propounded, and afterwards, if circumstances require, we shall disclose to one another as friends to friends our names and families and country and other things connected with these. Yet we all admired the eloquence of the man, and the gravity of his manners, and the calmness of his speech. But Peter, walking along leisurely while conversing, was looking out for a suitable place for a conference. And when he saw a quiet recess near the harbor, he made us sit down, and so he himself first began. Nor did he hold the old man in any contempt, nor did he look down upon him because his dress was poor and mean. He said, therefore, since you seem to me to be a learned man, and a compassionate inasmuch as you have come to us, and wish that to be known to us which you consider to be good, we also wish to expound to you what things we believe to be good and right, and if you do not think them true, you will take in good part our good intentions towards you, as we do to yours toward us. I think I might need to check the grammar in that section there, so we'll highlight it. When Peter was thus speaking, a great multitude assembled, and said the old man, perhaps the presence of a multitude disconcerts you. Peter replied, not at all. except only on this account, that I am afraid that perhaps when the truth is made manifest in the course of our discussion, you will be ashamed in presence of the multitude to yield and assent to the things which you have understood to be spoken truly. To this the old man answered, I am not such a fool in my old age, that understanding what is true, I shall deny it for the favor of the rabble. Then Peter began to say, those who speak the word of truth and who enlighten the souls of men seem to me to be like the rays of the sun, which, once they have come forth and appeared to the world, can no longer be concealed or hidden, while they are not so much seen by men as they afford sight to all. Therefore it was well said by one to the heralds of the truth, you are the light of the world. A city set upon a hill cannot be hid, neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but upon a candlestick, that it may enlighten all who are in the house. I find this, Peter likening truth to like the rays of the sun. This is very similar to the similitude that he drew back in I believe it was the first book of the Nazarene Acts, where he was talking about the way the world is shut up in a room that's filled with smoke, and somebody has to open the windows and open the door to let the light in, the light being the word of truth. And that's kind of the mission of the true prophet, is to enlighten the souls of men. So we see this same comparison made, to truth being like the light of the sun, and of course falsehood would be the smoke that shuts out the sun. Then said the old man, he said, well, whoever he is, but let one of you state what, according to his opinion, ought to be followed, that we may direct our speech to a definite aim. For in order to find the truth, it is not sufficient to overthrow the things that are spoken on the other side, but also that one should himself bring forward what he who is on the other side may oppose. Therefore, in order that both parties may be on an equal footing, it seems to me to be right that each of us should first enunciate what opinion he holds, and if you please, I shall begin first. I say then that the world is not governed according to the providence of God, because we see many things that are done unjustly and disorderly, but I say that it is Genesis that does and regulates all things. When Peter was about to reply to this, NazActs, anticipating him, said, would my master Peter allow me to answer this, and let it not be thought forward that I, a young man, should have an encounter with an old man, but rather let me converse as a son with a father. Then said the old man, not only do I wish, my son, that you should set forth your opinions, but also if any one of your associates, if anyone even of the bystanders thinks that he knows anything, let him unhesitatingly state it. We shall gladly hear it, for it is by the contribution of many that the things that are unknown are more easily found out. Then NazActs therefore answered, do not deem me to have done rashly, my father, because I have interpreted the speech of my master Peter, but rather I meant to honor him by doing this, for he is a man of God, full of all knowledge, who is not ignorant even of Greek learning, because he is filled with the Spirit of God, to whom nothing is unknown. But because it is suitable to him to speak of heavenly things, I shall answer concerning those things which pertain to the babbling of the Greeks, that after we have disputed in the Grecian manner, and we have come to that point where no issue appears, then he himself, has filled with the knowledge of God, shall openly and clearly disclose to us the truth on all matters, so that not we only, but also all who are around us as hearers shall learn the way of truth. And therefore now let him sit as an umpire, and when either of us shall yield, then let him, taking up the matter, give an unquestionable judgment. When NazActs had thus spoken, those who had assembled and conversed among themselves, is this that Peter, of whom we heard, the most approved disciple of him who appeared in Judea, and wrought many signs and miracles. And they stood gazing upon him with great fear and veneration, as conferring upon the master the honor of his good servant, which, when Peter observed, he said to them, let us hear with all attention, holding an impartial judgment of what shall be said by each, and after their encounter we also shall add what may seem necessary. And when Peter had said this, the crowds rejoiced. And Nicetas began to speak as follows: You have laid down, my father, that the world is not governed by the providence of God, but by all things are subject to Genesis, whether the things which relate to the dispositions of those which relate to the doings of everyone. This I could answer immediately, but because it is right to observe order, we also lay down what we hold, as you yourself requested should be done. I say that the world is governed by the providence of God, lest, at least in those things which need his government. For it is alone who holds all things in his hand, who also made the world, the just God, who shall at some time render to everyone according to his deeds. Now then, you have our position. Go on as you please, either overthrowing mine or establishing your own, that I may meet your statements, or if you wish me to speak first, I shall not hesitate. I think this is an important point that he just kind of glosses over. The world is governed by the providence of God, at least in those things which need his government. So Peter describes this in other places as it's a mixture of God's providence, but also there's free will involving the people. So there's some things that are part of God's plan that have to happen, have to move forward. And in those instances, free will is suspended or whatnot, and the deed is done. The thing that needs to be done is done to further God's plan. And the person who does this thing, whatever it is, they don't receive any kind of punishment for it or any kind of reward for it, because it's something that they didn't do willingly. It's almost like they were compelled to do it. But the majority of our decisions as human beings is done through free will. God gave us free will. So in the things that need his government, he's active in it, but the things which can be left to free will are left to free will. Then the old man answered, Whether it pleases you, my son, to speak first, or whether you prefer that I should speak, makes no difference, especially with those who discuss in a friendly spirit. However, speak you first, and I will gladly hear, and I wish you may be able to even follow out those things that are to be spoken by me, and to put in opposition to them those things that are contrary to them, and from the comparison of both to show the truth. Nicetas answered, If you wish it, I can even state your side of the argument and then answer it. Then the old man said, Show me first how you can know what I have not yet spoken, and so I shall believe that you can follow out my side of the argument. Then said Nicetas, Your sect is manifest, even by the proposition which you have laid down, to those who are skilled in doctrines of this sort, and its consequence is certain. And because I'm not ignorant of what are the propositions of the philosophers, I know what follows from those things which you have propounded, especially because I have frequented the schools of Epicurus in preference to the other philosophers. But my brother Aquila has attended more to the Pyrrhonist, and our other brother to the Platonist and Aristotelians. Therefore, you have to do with learned hearers. Then said the old man, You have well and logically informed us how you perceive the things which follow from the statements which have been enunciated, but I professed something more than the tenet of Epicurus, for I introduced the Genesis and asserted that it is the cause of all the doings of men. When the old man had said this, I, Clement, said to him, Hear, my father, if my brother Nicetas bring you to acknowledge that the world is not governed without the providence of God, I shall be able to answer you in that part which remains concerning the Genesis, for I am well acquainted with this doctrine. And when I had thus spoken, my brother Aquila, what is the use of our calling him father, when we are commanded to call no man father upon the earth? Then looking to the old man, he said, Do not take it amiss, my father, that I have found fault with my brother for calling you father, for we have a precept not to call anyone by that name. When Aquila said that, all the assembly and the bystanders, as well as the old man and Peter, laughed. And when Aquila asked the reason of their laughing, I said to him, Because you yourself do the very thing which you find fault with in another, for you called the old man father. But he denied it, saying, I am not aware that I called him Father. Meantime, Peter was moved with certain suspicions, as he told us afterwards, and looking at Nicetas, he says, Go on with what you have proposed. Then Nicetas began as follows: Everything that is either simple or compound. That which is simple is without number, division, color, difference, roughness, smoothness, weight, lightness, quality, quantity, and therefore without end. But that which is compounded is either compounded of 2 or of 3 or even 4 elements, or at all events of several, and things which are compounded can also of necessity be divided. The old man hearing this said, You speak most excellently and learnedly, my son. Then Nicetas went on, Therefore what is simple, and which is without any of those things by which that which subsists can be dissolved, is without doubt incomprehensible and infinite, knowing neither beginning nor end, and therefore is one and alone, and subsisting without an author. But that which is compounded is subject to number and diversity and division, is necessarily compounded by some author, and is a diversity collected into one species. That which is infinite is therefore in respect of goodness a father, in respect of power a creator. Nor can the power of creating cease in the infinite, nor the goodness be passive. But he is impelled by goodness to change existing things, and by power to arrange and strengthen them. Therefore some things, as we have said, are changed and composed of 2 or 3, some of 4, others of more elements. But since our inquiry at present is concerning the method of the world and its substance, which it is agreed is compounded of 4 elements, to which all these 10 differences belong, which we have mentioned above, let us begin at those lower steps and come to the higher. For the way is afforded us to intellectual and invisible things from those which we see and handle, and is contained in arithmetical instructions, where, when inquiry is made concerning divine things, we rise from the lower to the higher numbers. But when the method respecting present and visible things is expounded, the order is directed from the higher to the lower numbers. Is it not so? Then the old man said, You are following it out exceedingly well. Then Nicetas, Now then we must inquire concerning the method of the world, of which the first inquiry is divided into 2 parts. For it is asked whether it has been made or not, and if it has not been made, itself must be that unbegotten from which all things are. But if it has been made, concerning this again, the question is divided into 2 parts, whether it was made by itself or by another. And if indeed it was made by itself, then without doubt providence is excluded. If providence is not admitted, in vain is the mind incited to virtue, in vain justice is maintained, if there be no one to render to the just man according to his merits. But even the soul itself will not appear to be immortal, if there be no dispensation of providence to receive it after its escape from the body. Now if it be taught that there is a providence, and that the world was made by it, other questions meet us which must be discussed. For it will be asked in what way providence acts, whether it's generally towards the whole, or especially toward the parts, or generally also toward the parts, or both generally towards the whole and specifically toward the parts. But by general providence we mean this, as if God, at first making the world, has given an order and appointed a course to things, and has ceased to take any further care of what is done. But special providence toward the parts of this sort, that he exercises providence over some men or places, but not over others. But general over all, and at the same time special over the parts, is in this wise: if God made all things at first, and exercises providence over each individual even to the end, and renders to everyone according to his deeds. Therefore that first proposition, which declares that God made all things in the beginning, and having imposed a course and order upon things, takes no further account of them, affirms that all things are done according to Genesis. To this, therefore, we shall first reply, and especially to those who worship the gods and defend Genesis. Assuredly these men, when they sacrifice to the gods and pray to them, hope that they shall obtain something in opposition to Genesis, and so they annul Genesis. But when they laugh at those who incite to virtue and to exhort to self-restraint, and say that nobody can do or suffer anything unless what is decreed to him by fate, they assuredly cut up the roots all worship of the divinity. For why should you worship those from whom you can obtain nothing, which is the method of what is decreed does not allow? Let this suffice in the meantime in opposition to these men. But I say that the world is made by God, and that it is at some time to be destroyed by him, that the world may appear which is eternal, and which is made for the end, and that it may be always, and that it may receive those who in the judgment of God are worthy of it. But that there is another, an invisible world, which contains this visible world within itself. After we have finished our discussion concerning the visible world, we shall come to it also. Alright, so we got about 12 chapters done in Book 8, so I think this is a good place to take a pause, and we'll pick her up in chapter 13 when we come back. So, thanks for listening. Shalom.